Okay, so the first question is, did this group go through the two stages of normative model differentiation and integration?
There was definitely differentiation because they could not see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think they like also struggled to find out like a model that could apply to everyone. Like they were making it very like case specific.
Yeah, and they talk about how in differentiation, that's when they start criticizing each other's ideas, and we kind of see that a little bit. Um, and they're trying to like bicker about it instead of trying to find a solution.
Yeah. And then at the end, it seems like they're kind of trying to, do integration into the end a little bit, but it seems like for the most part, they just had issues communicating throughout the whole time and finding a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
no,
feel
I
like
think it
there's
mentioned.
go ahead.
Oh, I think it mentioned, and there's somewhere that they were concerned because Jerry kind of takes charge over everything, and he wasn't really giving an excuse for why Max was late. So then they were like, "Oh, well, we don't have an excuse for why they're late. We don't know." And then like it's still inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I feel like their solution like wasn't really a solution either. They were kind of like, oh, we'll just talk to him and like, reevaluate like whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think it's funny that there was so much interrupting, like
Oh my God, I know.
specifically put into the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of like pausing and like awkward moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny though because a lot of the interrupting was Jerry.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Like that's it. This man just whoop, went right in.
I mean, that kind of all goes with question two. It's did this group follow the principles for promoting collaboration discussed in chapter 8? And I mean, even just like looking at the text, like you could say no, like everywhere in parentheses, it's like interrupting, interrupting.
Or shaking his head.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, Jerry just kept interrupting because like he's got that like take charge personality, and so then everyone else just kept interrupting because like they just wanted to get like a word in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they weren't really collaborating, like they were more just arguing like amongst each other.
It also kind
Right.
of looked like he was putting it off though, because everybody was like trying to find a solution, and Jerry was like, "It's not that big of a deal. Why are you guys making it so serious?" And it's kind of just like dismissive.
Yeah.
Very.
It also makes you wonder, like, if they had different expectations when they were new and they're kind of seeing
Mhm.
him get away with it and they're like, that's also upsetting them. Like, it could also have like a personal, like, feeling toward it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, question three. How might the group have done things differently if they had followed the conflict management procedure outlined earlier?
Um,
I found like the PPE technique. Is that kind of what we're referring to? It says that it had,
Maybe it just says if they had followed the procedure outlined earlier.
yeah, maybe it's the PPE technique because it says that the first would be a format for stating the problem, an infinitive, an object, and a qualifier.
I don't think it is because the next question asks if the problem purpose expansion would be useful for this group.
Oh, okay. So that would be the next. Okay, we'll cover that later. Let's see.
okay. Let's see.
Well, I
One.
guess
Oh, yeah, go on. Sorry.
maybe like the model is just like navigating differentiation, like framing problems or issues, like rethinking how problems are defined, like those
That's what I'm looking at actually too. Rethinking
Yeah.
how problems are defined. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say like the framing of the issue was like done improperly because they all started bickering and disagreeing when, like, if they would have framed it as they need to find a specific solution, it wouldn't have been so much like against each other trying to win.
Yeah, because in the book too, under navigating differentiation, says so the challenge is to differentiate without developing so much negative momentum that spiraling escalation or rigid avoidance occurs, which is true because I'm like, in this scenario, I mean, obviously they're having issues communicating, but if they can differentiate without it turning into something super negative, maybe they can. But I mean, with Jerry like interrupting and all that stuff, it kind of makes it difficult for everyone to see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Power, climate. And is, I don't know, I can't remember, is Jerry the manager or something? Let me look.
He's
Like one.
like he runs the committee.
Just runs it a little bit. Yeah, because
Like there's
also
three
another,
of them that are all like equal positions, but he's
yeah,
the head of the committee.
all of them. Okay. Yeah, because maybe he also lets power get into his head too, for why he acts a certain way or why he thinks like he's right or interrupts, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
part
he definitely does. And like it kind of intimidates like the other employees.
Mhm. Yes. Says on the book too, it is important to cultivate a promotive, cooperative climate during differentiation, and the ways in which we frame problems and issues contribute to this. Let's see. Outlining a specific observable consequence of the behavior helps it says pretty much to help the other party understand the results of their behavior. So I mean, definitely having a conversation with the person that, you know, didn't show up and stuff, their attendance, of course, would be a good idea too.
Yeah, I agree.
Correct.
Did we want to move on to the last question?
Yeah, so the last question is, would problem purpose expansion be useful for this group? Why or why not?
I think yes, because like we mentioned earlier, they got sidetracked, and the point of the PPE technique is to kind of like reset the situation and like create more like brainstorming ideas. So like asking what are we trying to accomplish by this? Because they got to the point where they were arguing. So if they could have used that technique, they could have gone back and like created more solutions.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think at first, like, they kind of didn't know like what they were working towards. Like, Jerry told them like what the problem was, but like he kind of like wanted to figure out a standard, but then it turned into like a standard for all of them, and then it turned into like, well, what happens if there's like a personal issue or like all of these like occurrences that could happen, like what ifs. So I think it just kind of like just kept going and going because like and then they forgot like what they were working towards, you know.
Yes, definitely. And then I looked up problem purpose expansion too. And it's just also talking about how it helps avoid like having a super narrow discussion and to where you like miss having a solution. Which I think is good because sometimes people get caught up in like the details instead of actually trying to find a solution. So I definitely think it could help.
Yeah. You could tell everyone in that conversation was projecting like their own feelings about it when like they needed to come up with a standard that would fit everyone. So re-brainstorming it would have helped.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, they all definitely got caught up in the details and trying to like have their voices heard.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a big part of this actually is them all wanting to have their voices be heard, which is why we keep hearing Jerry interrupt everyone. But what really needs to happen is for everyone to have that open communication, to not get into the details too much and actually just have the communication to find the solution. So I think it'll work too.
Does anyone disagree and think it wouldn't work?
I think it would work. It does say in there too that it helps like introduce new ideas. So when they're like stuck on like old ideas and how old policies used to be, it kind of helps like them cool off and try to find a new idea. So I think it would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll work too. I'm pretty sure it's better than nothing with how they're doing right now. Seems like they came in with no structure, no kind of set subject, kind of all rambles against each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. Kind of any model that they could do that's different than what they're doing now, because it's, clearly not working. I think like
Yes.
they could definitely like benefit from like trying probably like a couple of different things and trying to like change the group dynamic at least.
They could
Mhm.
even benefit from having like a talking lamp or whatever, like you know how you pass it around and you get to speak. Even
Yeah,
that, I
they could
think would
literally
help.
benefit from anything.
Yeah. They need a little help, a little intervention for them to all just relax and come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
It's a lot of back and forth and then like the awkward silences and stuff. I'm like, I feel like this is just not going to help them come to a conclusion.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the interrupting is gonna like put them on edge a little bit, so it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the funniest thing I've learned from this class is like reading other people's conflicts makes you realize how like funny it is, like how heated people get over things. Like I know I've been in conflicts that are even dumber than this, like way
Oh,
dumber.
yeah.
And if I had to like read my conflict on paper, like reading old text message arguments, it'd be like, oh my God. It's very hard. It's easy to know what the right thing to do is when you're like looking inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Inside the conflict,
definitely.
your
Yeah, taking a
emotions.
step back.
Yeah. So I think that's like the biggest thing I think I've learned is
I
just like
think it's funny.
And
That's
too, like you could like relate that to like I don't know, like in high school, would you like send like screenshots of like to like one of your friends and being like, this is what's going on? Like, have you ever just like looked back at it and been like, I
Yeah.
was arguing with someone about this?
it's
I
just
know.
like funny to think of your emotions at the time. Because that's
It's
what
true. Sometimes it gets difficult too, I've noticed, because like I feel like it's other people's character too that makes it really difficult. And then you do look back at those stupid arguments and things like that, and you're just like, why was I even arguing with this person? I know how they are to begin with, and it's just like if they're not going to hear me out, it's just going to be back and forth anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we were Laura, we would look back at this and be like, why do we even deal with Jerry?
Literally, it's like, okay, let's just not even
Like, why are you
bother.
arguing about the interns' attendance? If it's
Yeah.
clear that like, because they all just keep like mentioning like an emergency, like personal, like he clearly has something going on. So like,
Yeah.
what are we fighting about? Like, find a solution for like covering for him or like whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe we
having
should
a
talk to
backup.
Max. Maybe we should ask if Max is okay.
Oh my
I
God.
would love to hear them try to present this to Max. Like after
Yeah, what does Max think
Whole
about all
conversation. Oh my God.
like I feel like Max would just be like, I don't understand what just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he would
as an
appreciate
intern, if I
solution.
knew I caused all that, I'd be like, like I'd be so
Dude, they're doctors.
True.
Like they're actual doctors arguing like this.
Which
I
is because
know.
isn't a psychiatrist? Yeah, they should be able to handle it better.
I know. I think so, right?
Right? I feel like these are the worst kind of doctors to like not be able to handle a conflict. Like how do you handle your patient's
Exactly.
conflicts?
They deal with exactly this, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. But I think overall, they should, yeah, you guys are right. Like they should have been able to address it completely different. And then if Max came in and just was able to like explain what was going on, I feel like that would have helped too.
Mhm.
Because the biggest issue was that Laura was saying that he keeps just like coming in super late or he'll just randomly go missing. And it's just like, maybe they just really need open communication from everyone. So that way no one gets offended. No one's like Jerry is like interrupting or doing any of that. I think the easiest thing is for Max to just learn to communicate too.
Yeah, or stop disappearing. Like, where is he going that he keeps disappearing?
I know, that's so odd. Just
Yeah.
imagine he's hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Smoke break.
yeah, they're all freaking out. He's like drinking boba or something somewhere.
Oh my God.
Wait till like one of the places next door.
Hiding in the camera, I mean, in the bathrooms.
He's like hearing it like
Dude, or he's like the only intern on the hospital in the hospital unit, like where all the doctors are gone.
Oh my God.
okay. I think that we had and we got a little off topic at the end there, but I think we got a good discussion in. Does anyone
Yeah.
want to add anything before we wrap it up?
Good. Thankfully.